I'm a Spectre and my mic's turned the wrong way. Mike, can you pick me up now? I'll edit and amplify things. But I have come with you today to tell you a tale that is true and actually happened, because oh my god, stuff like this happens in D&D. I'm gonna start with one that I can remember just off the top of my head. Last morning, let me think. Does it count as last night if it was from 12 a.m. to 5:30 a.m.? Don't think it does. But anyway, this was my first time being a full-on player and not a GM for something. Okay? So I'd made my character, and the GM had a really good introduction, but I'm gonna point out to you something. This character had a +4 to perception at level 1 because it was a cleric, Arakakra, with very good stats in the things he needed good stats in. And somehow I rolled 4 threes just out of row. They were like 4 out of 5 of my rolls versus a 3. A 3. Yeah, this person learned why I sometimes fudge die rolls for GMing purposes very quickly, because he's a player in my campaign. So I think he finally figured out why I roll behind a screen all the time and might occasionally fudge a die roll. But anyway, then the story of this proceeds, and the way it proceeds is there was a town that he had the person go to because they had no memory. That was the story. They were just released from prison cell and had no memory and were meant to deliver messages, but the messages had an arcane seal on them. Ergo, only if you knew where it's meant to be sent can you actually know where it's meant to be sent, if you get what I mean. Doesn't say on the envelope. So he went to the town to try and see if anything would come back up, and he had to go by the shop to buy just one, I think if I remember correctly it was a yew leaf for one of his spells, because again, cleric. And because I knew this player, this is the player that that if I haven't posted stories on already, I will shortly. It's the player Mirik, the chaotic cupid, my joy, my happiness and my sadness. It's a very weird mixture of he's doing insane shit. That's amazing, but also this boss had a lot more health. It's suddenly been reduced by 3/4 of its health total. Partially by my fault, but I can't retcon the mistake I made. At this point, at least. Unless you just say a boulder crushes him. Maybe. But, so, had gone to the shop, and this person legitimately does all this insane shit, so I thought for a second I'd try something stupid. And I slammed the door of the shop open with thaumaturgy, just and proceeded to scare the shopkeeper. Then, the person he had accompanying me, I did this. I legitimately described, if I remember correctly, that I had cut my hands together like I was trying to whisper to him, and was going to use thaumaturgy, which can triple the sound of things as well, and scream in his ear as loud as I possibly could. And he choked me for 3 points of damage. Note, I was a cleric with 10 health. Keep track of this. So that happened. We proceeded to go, and I finally managed, after doing a few showman's bows and getting hugged by, I think it was 1,000 familiars at once, managed to get the U-Leaf. Then, of course, the next place to go was the bar. Tavern. Always go to the tavern, or the marketplace. It's either the marketplace or the tavern. And, along this path, he had been remembering things about the letters, but that is not the important part of this video. The important part of the video is what's coming up. So, we had gone to the tavern. The tavern owner was Yuan-Ti, which is a very, very rare race, and considered very evil. And due to a history check, after talking to the barkeeper for a little bit, he described that a memory came back to my head, and I looked at the mail, and there was a serpentine seal on it. So, and he, I can't remember exactly what I said. If I remember correctly, I said something along the lines of just, like, laid back and said, because it was a male thing, so I literally said, you know, as a courier, you find the most interesting people. One house you go to, you find a great wizard. The next house over, you find a necromancer. So interesting. Don't you think so? And I legitimately, he caught on to this, what I was doing. He caught on to, because the whole thing about these letters was the first memory that came back into his head when he went to the marketplace was that it was a necromancer that gave it to him. So, yeah, this Yuan-Ti had a plus 10 to deception. He explicitly stated that to me after the fact. My character has a plus 6 to insight. So, I rolled over 20. I can't remember exactly what it was. He rolled a 12. And I don't mean on the die he rolled a 12. I mean that's total. So, yeah, I noticed the Yuan-Ti, and then he tried lying to me again, and I noticed it again, and I was just hounding him about these letters, almost. And then eventually it just stopped, and, he had, here's how to say, plot progression! Plot progression! Because he was having the person who was accompanying me go over to a band of adventurers who was going to raid a wizard's tower, aka plot progression, while I was interrogating the hell out of this Yuan-Ti and actually succeeding. So I went over to the table. The guy who was accompanying me slammed his hand on the table because he'd stepped past him and said, "I'm in," because it was a expedition to a wizard's tower. My character went over to the table, tried to put their hand down, some of the table flipped, and a cask of ale went right to my face. I rolled a critical 1. I can't remember what it was on. And then I managed to roll a horrible dex save. So it was just like, oh, you were currently blinded and then you took more damage. I was legitimately at less than half health before we had gotten into combat. Due to the powers of my character wanting to die, apparently. So then, he tried, one of the adventuring party, because I was trying to convince them on why I should go, because they did not believe that I should go on the mission. So I tried to convince them by saying, you know, it's always best to have a healer by the side, just in case things go horribly wrong. I cannot remember exactly how many times I said horribly, but it was quite a few. And one of the people piped up and said, "We have stacks of healing potions, we're fine." I immediately shouted to the GM, "Insight check." Rolled my insight check. He rolled his check. I succeeded and knew he was lying through his teeth. "You cannot lie from my character. You cannot." So that happened. I tried convincing them again. And then I had said something else. And I stated that I put my hand on the table. The GM had told me last time the table was unstable now. I'd forgotten about that until the moment after I said I put my hand on the table. And then I took more damage. I swear to God, this guy was the clumsiest guy due to horrible luck and horrible rolls. Insight checks I do great on. Anything else? Note that I had a +6 to perception and did not roll above a 7 half the time, or +4 to perception and did not roll above a 7 half the time. In total. So, we eventually went off to the Wizard's Tower and started to investigate shit. Well, they didn't find traps in the first 2 rooms because there were 2 people scouting ahead in the party. Because one of them was a rogue and one of them was looking for arcane traps, one of them was a rogue looking for normal traps. Because this was a Wizard's Tower. So they went forward, saw no traps in the first room, saw no traps in the second. In the third, they saw no traps. However, I immediately noticed in the room there was a table with a book on it. And I immediately went, wait, they haven't seen his trap yet. And then I noticed because there was no books up until this point. So I literally described how I tried to use my hand axe because I did not have a quarterstaff. So I just tried using my hand axe to just push the book, and it moved for a little bit, and then I tried lifting the book with my hand axe, and he said that the weight of the book was like a ton when I tried doing that. Then another person went to pick up the book after I said, "There's something with this book." They picked it up with no problem and handed it to me. And then eventually found out it was in like 1,000 different languages. But everyone was picking it up just fine. And it weighed lighter than air. Then one of the party members tried to put it in their bag. And it fell through their bag. And due to a combination of my personal knowledge, well, mostly my personal knowledge supplemented by Arcana check, because I knew basically where he was going with this. But, due to an Arcana check, my character knew this. I knew this to start once he said it went through the satchel. It was a book that was enchanted so that organic things can pick it up, but inorganic things make it weigh like a ton. So my character tried relaying that to the rest of the party. He picked up the book, said, "You see, organic things, human things, doesn't weigh anything." Then, without thinking, I decided to touch it with my hand axe to try and demonstrate what happens when you don't. I should have said that I moved my hand first. Because here's exactly what happened. I touched it with my hand axe. At that precise moment, the DM explained how it basically made me top heavy, and I proceeded to tumble and fall all the way to the other wall of the other side of the room because of the weight of the book. And this is the second time, by the way, that the entire NPC lineup laughed at me. Because of... the first time was with the table and the ale. This was the second. Luckily I had thaumaturgy, so I lessened their noise just enough so that I could still be heard over them. And then I said, I legitimately described how just, as I was saying, they would only have this if they have inorganic things made. So yeah, That didn't go too well. Then, the next room, he found a trap with an Arcana check he did not expect to find. And we all went over to it, investigated it, figured out it was basically just a lightning bolt on your face hole if you stepped on it. Oh my god. Then we went over to a few of the chests after finding another big one that was made to summon a flame elemental. But in the chests, the rogue had inspected them and said he had found no traps. And I immediately went, insight check. Insight check. And the GM told me, this guy has a plus like 10 or something to deception too. The GM told me, he's lying. And I immediately just went, ha! You can't lie to me! You can't lie to me! Seriously, my character, so far no one's been able to lie to my character. Due to a combination of good luck and a plus 6 to insight, I think? Some stupid high. But, yeah, there's that. So then I decided how I just left it up to fate, because, you know, cleric. I kind of made this, like, gambling, half badass, half clumsy cleric. I don't know what the title of this episode's gonna be, but Jesus Christ, the Klutz gambling cleric, maybe. I have no idea. This is still going on, by the way. That was just last night. That was the introduction to this D&D game. But, yeah. So we just flipped the coin in the air. And we just decided, I literally had it roll. Odd or even. For which chest. Because there were two chests. One of them was trapped, one of them wasn't. So, I literally had those things decide. And I explicitly stated, because I had not told the guy that I heard his lie. Usually I legitimately call people out for lying. And not in front of the whole group, but just like, I know you fucking lied to me. Don't try doing that again. But, this time I hadn't told him, so he didn't know. So, I literally described how I literally said I slowly opened the chest, and the moment I hear anything that resembles a click, I am dropping to the ground. Because I know how chests can be trapped and cut off your head. That was not the one that was trapped, though. Thank God for luck that time. But the other one, he opened without a problem. And in the chest, by the way, we found a healing potion. But the other one, he opened without a problem. Because he disarmed it without anyone else noticing that he disarmed the trap. But as I was walking by to help get insight onto what this potion was, because I knew it was a healing potion, but I didn't roll high enough to know what level. So I went over to another party member, and as I was handing it to the other party member, I tapped the guy on the shoulder and said, I know you fucking lied to me about the traps. Don't try it again. And, yeah. Then, there were another two chests. We found out another one wasn't trapped, and another one was covered in runes. And it turns out, I legitimately said, everyone get back, get away from that side of the room. And I went literally as far as the range would allow me. I grasped my holy symbol and sacred flamed the chest with all the runes on it. And then, I'm glad I told everyone to stand back. It exploded in an area that legitimately took up, an eighth of the room. Granted, it was a circular room, and it was like in a square, but it was a very, very bad blast. And he described it as like 15 meters deep, too. So, Sacred Flame. And he told me later, apparently what he thought I was gonna do was summon the fire elemental, then proceed to throw the suicide mimic, that's what it was a suicide bomber mimic, at the fire elemental. And as we were talking about that, I actually reminded him, well, he didn't know this, but I told him about it. You do realize I have a spell that creates 10 gallons of water, right? And he just went, oh. just like this moment of, oh! You can just do that. Clerics, level 1, breaking every law of nature. Oh, just wait until I get to, what is it, level 5? Where I can just create food as well. Just create food and water enough to sustain 15 people for a day. Yeah. Clerics break existence. But yeah, that's part of the story, hopefully it continues, of the bloody clumsy cleric. He's in the tricky domain, so I just decided to make this like weird gambling, fun-loving cleric, and it's just working out great so far. There's so much stupid is coming from it, and I love it. I love the stupid. I embrace the stupid. The stupid is the fun part. But yeah. But remember, kids, the lesson to take away from this is always blow up the chest. Always. I'm just kidding. Always check your traps, though. Always check for every trap imaginable. Even suicide mimics. They're out there. And they're coming for your loot. Your loot! Your precious loot! But yeah. Anyway. I'm the Spectre. That was a D&D story. It's something a little bit more experimental on this channel. But I hope it goes well. Because then I can keep doing more stories like this. Because I can't record the actual D&D sessions just because of the way my laptop's set up. Maybe I'll find a way. Maybe. But anyway, for now, I'm the Spectre. Like the video if you liked it. Dislike it if you didn't like it. Comment if you want to comment. Please, seriously. Tell me if you want to hear more of these stories. Because I have a lot. Especially about that character that I was telling you about. The one that's GMing now. And we're like switching between games, so I'm gonna get like whiplash from going GM character. But anyway, yeah, I have like this many. If you could see the core of the Earth, it would still be going past there on how much I have to say about his character. A lot of it is I fucked up. Because it was my first time GMing, and it's a story for another time, though. But anyway, remember, like, dislike, comment if you want to comment, subscribe if you want to be notified of more videos, possibly like this in the future. Follow my Twitter if you want to be notified better, because YouTube does not do too well with it. But I remember, at least within a day, to remind everyone, hey, video out, in case YouTube will suck. But, yes, follow us. Check out some of the people's YouTube channels who are in the description. They are good peoples, I think. I'm pretty sure. I don't think I make friends with bad peoples. But anyway, I'm the Spectre. Goodbye.